Good morning, Ben Jones here with Badtor from Bronson Coffee Roasters, coming to you live from my coffee workshop. It's Monday morning, the 10th of August, and we're going to try to do a brew for two. Going to brew simultaneously with the bee house and the AeroPress, just because we can. Let's play around a little bit. Cool thing is, I've used the same grind setting for all of these today, so I don't have to worry about changing the grind between brews. If you get your coffee pre-ground, this is a nice way. You can get it ground specifically for whatever your pour-over method happens to be, and then you'll just match your brew time on the AeroPress. Remember that the larger the particles that go into the AeroPress, we want to give more agitation and give more time. More bigger means more of everything else. Small particles requires less agitation, just enough to break up the dry clumps, and less time is desirable on that AeroPress. So I've cheated a little bit. I went ahead and inserted my filters into both of my brewers. I've already pre-wetted and rinsed my filters. So let's go ahead and just turn on my scale. 19 grams of coffee for each of these. Again, I am still using the Las Brisas, a Colombian coffee, roasted in Olympia. If you're out on the East Coast, you'll be getting it roasted in Atlanta. That's kind of cool. All right, so I got my scale. It's gonna take my coffee, and we'll just put that into, how did I get 20 grams? I'm gonna take a little bit out of there, it's a little heavy. There we go. Give it a little shake to level it. And then because I like to make a mess, take my 19 grams into the AeroPress. That funnel really helps to direct the coffee into the press and not onto my countertop. All right. I have one timer, but I'm going to do 2 brews with this. So what I'll want to do is, I'm just going to start my time, and I'm going to do the bloom on the pour over. It only takes about 10 seconds to add what I need, and then into the AeroPress. Pour your water aggressively, let it really splash and agitate. Nothing wrong with that. Let's get plenty of water in there. Now my AeroPress, I'm just going to make a note that it's about 8 to 10 seconds behind the pour over dripper. I stir my press, insert the plunger. Now that is on autopilot, so I can just address the bee house. I tried to get a little more of an overhead shot for y'all today so you can see a bit more of the technique. What I'm shooting for here is just slow additions of water, breaking up the dark spots. Work your way inside to out. And give it a pause. My theory on any type of manual brew is low and slow is better than a high rise. When you add your water very quickly, when you get a lot of it in there right at the beginning, we end up with coffee grounds left on the side of the filter. And whenever they get abandoned up there on the slopes, they're not going to participate in the brew. We don't get their flavor compounds in that brew. So just keep it nice and slow. And depending on your pour over device, different ones do better with this pouring down the side. The Melita style brewers, this bee house, if you get the standard Melita dripper cone as well, they have less sensitivity to that. which is very nice. All right, I'm 2.5 minutes on my press, so I'm just going to start to press down. And just keep on adding some water here too. For me, the hardest part right now is looking around at the scale. I have it turned to y'all. 250 grams of water. My target in here with my 19 grams, I want to get just over 300 grams, 320 grams of water. My AeroPress made a little hissing sound, so we'll call that finished. And I'm just going to top off 314 grams there. All right. For the AeroPress, diner mug, my favorite part right here. When we add that in, won't be all the way filled, but I can just go top it off, and I have coffee number 1 ready. And I'm just going to call this one finished. It's okay to pull that off a little premature. Diner mug number 2. And there we are. We've got coffee for 2. It's interesting how unique each coffee will taste. The same coffee off of different brew devices. Both are good. Please don't ever ask me my favorite. Oh, you can ask me, but I'll just say I don't have favorites. They're both good cups of coffee. The AeroPress, this brew was a little bit sweeter and a little softer. My bee house, I'm still hitting the dartboard of a good cup of coffee. Just not quite as sweet as the bee house was. It's pushing a little bit past, ever so slightly into the realm of over extracted and getting this very subtle kind of medicinal quality. That's what you get when you over brew something. It starts to taste medicine-y and astringent. It's not bad. It's still a good cup of coffee. I will still drink it. AeroPress, this one, definitely sweeter. Definitely smoother. Makes sense. This had a ever so slightly shorter contact time. So that's how you brew for 2. Most importantly is that you're playing with coffee and you're having some fun with it. There's a lot of right things to do, but there's also a lot of things that are not wrong. The hard, fast rules to get the best cup of coffee you can. Start with high quality coffee beans that are fresh. Think about your coffee like a loaf of bread. You're not going to go out and buy a year's supply of bread when you want it to taste fresh. If you buy a year's supply of bread, you toss most of it in the freezer, and then there you go. And it's fine. It'll be frozen bread that has thawed, but it'll still be bread. You can still make your sandwiches and toast and all those kinds of things. Coffee's the same way. We want to have it be fresh, not frozen. Freezing coffee to store it is a tricky bit that most homes are not set up for. I did know a fellow who worked at MIT. He was one of the scientists, and in his lab he had a walk-in freezer that was sitting at 13 below. That's a decent environment to pre-store coffee. So if you have a 13 below sub-zero walk-in freezer where you can designate the back corner to your coffee stash, go ahead and freeze your coffee. Otherwise, it gets complicated. So the basics of a good cup of coffee: well roasted, well sourced, fresh coffee. Fresh ground is good as long as you're within, well, if you can get yourself a grinder, it's the way to go. It's an amazing, amazing tool. The next is fresh quality water. You got to make sure that your water doesn't have any odd tastes in it. Definitely want to avoid chlorinated water. If your water tastes, your coffee will taste of whatever that water tasted. Avoid distilled water. We need some of the minerals for the flavors to react with and to interact with. I need some more coffee. So, good beans, fresh ground, good water. Controlling your ratio, whether that be through scales or through a incredibly diligent and repeated routine. I think those are kind of the keys. And then cleaning your equipment. You got to keep it clean, which in the case of our Bee House dripper, the cleaning on this, let's just go and do that. I will remove, let's do the AeroPress first because I'll show you something fun. All right. So we can go and expel, compress the rest of this, pop off the cap, and then we'll just put that into here, wipe the ground coffee off. While this is still wet, go and pull that apart. We'll often get a bunch of coffee up on the ring. Just take that and just give that a good wipe or a rinse with some water. Since I'm in the workshop, I don't have running water, so I'll use a wipe. Fun fact, if you grab your little cap here, we can pull that apart, and coffee does make its way up in here. So not a bad idea periodically, once a week or so, once a month or so, whatever kind of regular routine you want to do. Just wipe that clean and clear. All the coffee on there. There we go. Take our coffee grounds. These will compost nicely. They'll be dirt. It's a great nitrogen replacer for your garden. Now, our Bee House has remnants of coffee in it. Oh, I saw some remnants of hot water. I'll just give those a rinse. Sweet. And a little rinse. Take your towel and just clean it up. Some people like to let patina build up. I've found that patina doesn't typically taste pleasant to most people. If you like the patina, cool. That's what I like about this whole thing is if you like it, you like it. If you're serving other people, most people prefer clean equipment, no patina built up. Every now and again you hear stories of somebody who gets really angry when their coffee mug gets washed because they're like, oh, I have 15 years of built up coffee, I've never washed it. Yeah, cool. You do you. I cleaned it up. All right, so last thing to do to clean, with these little bits, if we take some water, or a little container, I'll just put the rubber bit in there. Just let those sit and soak. I don't know, 20 minutes, then again come back with our cloth and give it a good wipe off. So, it was supposed to just be coffee for 2, but then we got a little quick cleanup. Not a big deal. The cleanup on these. What I did here is actually a fairly deep clean. Typically, a good little rinse is all these need. Check out our website, baddwarfcoffee.com. Our producers will toss some really fun links in the comments here for you. Thank you for watching. We have a discount code for people who watch our videos. Watch and learn 10, number 10 written in numerals. Happy Monday. Go have a good week. Cheers.